Hello, welcome to another episode of History in the Dark. I am your host, Darkness the Curse, and before we begin, as always, thank you so much to my generous Patreons, my British rail critics, and my underwater train finders, Thomas Ward and Lord Captain Von Thrust III. You are the reason why this content remains under the sea. Under the sea. Down where... Oh, okay, I'm gonna get copyright strike if I keep singing. Okay, fair enough. But you get the point. And today, that is thematic, as we are again gonna discuss a train that has found its way underwater. Although in this case, I guess you can't really call it water. It's not really water. It's partially water, but it's marl, is what it is. More on that in a second. This is the story of the abandoned tank engine of Marlbank. I feel like Canada in particular just has a lot of locomotives under stuff. I don't know what it is about you guys. Is it their own territory? Are you all secretly underwater the entire time? And you're just fooling everybody? I don't know. I can never get with you guys. But as far as we know, this locomotive was an 040ST, a saddle tank engine. Very small but efficient little locomotives that would have been great for the job that it was required. See, this locomotive was owned by a company in Marlbank, Ontario in the late 1800s and early 1900s. The company owned a cement plant, and the locomotive operated in a marl pit. Marl is a material that's rich in carbonate, minerals, clays, and silt. It's actually very soft by rock standards, but when it's hardened it becomes marl stone. It's used for a handful of things, but in this case it was being used for the cement plant. It's a component of cement manufacturing. The company was mining the marl and using the locomotive to transport it back and forth between the pit and the factory. However, the cement plant closed in 1914. When that happened, the engine, which was allegedly numbered 34, was simply abandoned. It was left along with everything else. Over time, the forces of nature began to fill the pit back in with silts, clay, and water, burying the locomotive beneath it. And as far as anybody knows, it's still there. Apparently there was a picture that was circulating of the locomotive itself. Its stack was visible just beneath the surface. However, this picture appears to have been lost to time. The only one that does have a link to the image goes to a website that has long since been defunct. And yes, I tried the Wayback Machine, and no, it doesn't work. I was able to get an image of the website itself, but all the images have long since been dead, and no snapshot seems to actually show me those images. So unfortunately, I won't be able to show you a picture of this thing, but apparently it is still out there. Could it be recovered? Probably very easily. It's just beneath the surface. It's literally right there. It may be one of the most obtainable locomotives I've ever discussed, and since it was simply left, it's likely in alright condition, simply being under fresh water, stagnant all this time. I'm sure it's rusty, but compared to a lot of the underwater trains I've talked about, it wasn't even involved in an accident or anything like that. It's literally just sitting there. And in fact, it's not even out in the wilderness. The old cement plant is still there. Decrepit, but there, and it's visible from the highway nearby. So I think this is one of those situations where it might be reasonable to say, we could recover this locomotive. But it still wouldn't be cheap, and no, I wouldn't expect it to run again, but perhaps, maybe, possibly, I don't know for sure. But hey, maybe someone with the financial fortitude will decide to do that. Till next time, this is Darkness, and I bid you all a fond farewell.